Okay, hello everyone. Today I have a fantasy book review for you. I read a lot of books in the month of June. It's not gonna be the case this month, but the month of June gave me enough time to dabble in multiple genres and read as many books as I could, and fantasy was one of those genres, and I have like 7 books to discuss just in fantasy, so I wanted to separate the wrap-ups and maybe even skip a monthly wrap-up overall and mention the other books in different review videos. So I'll figure out how I'm gonna do that, but the fantasy books that I read this month really satisfied me. Although I have some lower star rated ones, in my opinion, I do feel that a lot of people out there would enjoy each and every one of these books. I just didn't click with every single one as much as I did some of them. So I'm gonna work through all the fantasy books that I read last month, and I hope you guys enjoy. Before I jump into the video, you know the drill. I have all the links that I can find to resources to support the Black Lives Matter movement down below. Petitions you can sign, funds you can donate to, especially petitions you can sign to incarcerate the murderers of Breonna Taylor. We're trying hard to make that happen. It has to happen already. And please do check those links out and then come back to the video. Thank you for that. Without further ado, let's jump into the books. So the first book I want to mention is my lowest rated one, and that would be Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And this was an unexpected one because I expected to love this. I really liked V.E. Schwab's other fantasy series, and I went into it with high expectations. It did not fulfill those expectations. It's basically like a superhero book, but more like a super villain is created. There are people called Extraordinary, and we follow 2 med students that are trying to figure out how they come to be, and they find out that near-death experiences create these people with special abilities, and they try to replicate it. Some things go wrong, and we follow them back when they were in college, and then 10 years later when Victor comes out of jail. We don't know why he went in there, but he hates Eli's guts when he does come out, and there's like a revenge plot. It sounds so promising, but I wasn't drawn in as much as I wanted to. I usually really like reading about villains and I get invested in the characters, but these 2 did not do it for me. Some of the side characters I really enjoyed, but I don't feel they were given the page count that I wanted them to have, and the story was exciting. The plot was very fast moving, but it just wasn't for me. I guess I don't really like reading about superheroes or supervillains in books. I gave it a 2 stars. Moving on. Okay, I continued with the Earthsea cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin this month, and I read Tombs of Atuan by her. I really enjoyed this book. The only reason I gave it 3.5 stars is because I feel like the first book was more fast-paced when we were following Ged through this quest of defeating the darkness that he himself unleashed upon the world. It was more dynamic. In this book, we're in the tombs for a very long time, so it felt more slow-paced. It was good. It was very satisfactory to see another perspective on the magic in this world and how a different religion views magic. They view it as a sin, and they offer themselves to the service of these dark ones, and they just live in the tombs, and this little girl is assigned to be the high priestess of the Dark Ones, and she is groomed basically to fulfill that destiny, but she doesn't really know anything about these beings. So it's kind of her exploring her own world and the world outside a little bit, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that there was a female character introduced here, and I know that Ursula K. Le Guin wanted to address the overall role of females, how they are meant to fulfill this role that society has for them, and I really like that aspect too. I'm continuing with the series, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first book, so 3.5 stars, still a solid read. K. Le Guin. Okay, I have 2 YA books that I read that I just need to get out of the way. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is a fae-centered fantasy series where we follow Feyre, who is a human living very close to the fae world, and the fae are viewed as these vicious and cruel creatures that murder people for sport, and they are cunning and they want to have people as slaves and stuff. And something happens. Feyre needs to go into the Fae world to live there to atone for something she did, and we follow her essentially trying to navigate the politics, if they exist in this world, and the romance that ensues with Fae, a very dark romance. I don't want to give too much away about how the romance ensues and with whom throughout these books, because that's basically the main plot driver. I don't usually enjoy this, but I read them knowing what they are, and they are not fantasy books that have romance. They seem like fantastical romance books, and very explicit at that too, and I enjoyed it. I did not get the satisfaction of a very good, very well-built magical world, a magic system, politics. I did not feel satisfied by those, but the romance really gripped me. I finished both of those books in one day, like each one in one day, and I enjoyed them. I gave the first one 3 stars, the other one 3.5 stars. They got me out of a slump, and nothing more to that. The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. My first entry in the Witcher universe, and I thoroughly enjoyed this short story collection. This universe basically follows a witcher who is kind of like a monster hunter, and his name is Geralt. And this universe is a universe where a lot of dark creatures and monsters from even like dark fairy tales have escaped into, along with humans, and the Witchers were made as these elevated and enhanced humans to hunt these down. I really enjoy small like fairy tale elements that are very twisted. I really enjoy it when I notice them. I enjoyed that there is no overarching, like very high stakes plot in this, because we follow a monster hunter and it's very episodic. Duh, it's a short story collection, but I kind of heard a similar thing about the novels as well. There is an overarching plot eventually, but the individual stories are just as important, and I love this universe. Guys, the creatures are so unique, but also very nostalgic. Like, you can sense the inspiration, but they are very vividly his. Like, the author makes them his. I really like that we get a glimpse of Geralt's character in a bunch of different situations, because he has to handle a very, very different people and very different jobs, and I just found it entertaining and curious to see how he reacts under different situations. But I do feel like we are kind of distanced from other characters that will be in the series later on. We just get a glimpse of them, and then we move on to the next story. I I wasn't very satisfied with it, but it was a good introduction, I guess. I did enjoy some of the stories more than the others, and that's why the overall book got like a 3.5 stars from me, but I think I gave it a 4 stars actually. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I want to read more into this. I really liked Sapkowski's writing. Some elements that you don't feel in American like fantasy authors. It's not to say that, oh, American fantasy, boo-hoo, but I just could sense the difference. There's like subtle nuances in his writing that I really enjoyed. Maybe they are special to like Eastern Europe, Poland, but I don't know. The writing was unique and that kept me going as well. I highly recommend checking this universe out, especially if you like the game or the show. I'll keep reading. I'll let you guys know what I think. Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This might become a new favorite series for me. I gave it a 4 stars. Let's start there, and then we can jump into the magic system. Objects have their own code in scrivings, and our main character, Sanchia, can see the code in these items by touching them because she has this augmentation in place, and that gives her the perfect way to be a thief, because essentially when she touches a wall, she can see the way out, kind of, and that was very interesting. The magic system is very hard, in my opinion, because the scrivings they take a lot of time, and complicated ones require pages and pages of scrivings, and I found that to be very satisfying because there are consequences, and the magic is not just, you know, wave your wand around and everything works out kind of way. Sanchia is basically a street urchin living here in Tavan, I think. I might be butchering that pronunciation, but we'll move on from that. Very powerful merchant houses rule over parts of the city, and the other parts that are left out of their rule is called Foundryside, and there are no laws, no strict laws basically. And Sanchia is hired one day to steal a curious item, and when she finds out what item that is and what it can do, things get complicated, and she's thrown into a very big and almost impossible mission. And I really like her mentality that this does look impossible to accomplish, and she has self-doubt. She has every intention to leave the mission and not help these people accomplish it, because she has been trying to survive in this world for too long, and it takes her a lot of time to trust these people, which feels so realistic, and I really, really enjoyed her character. Without spoiling anything, I really enjoyed the diverse portrayals of relationships. I really enjoyed that in the main characters, and throughout the story, the stakes got higher and higher and higher. They say the second book, it has even higher stakes, and I can't imagine how it can be elevated from here, but I'm definitely going to go into it and give Bennett a chance because his writing really, really gripped me. Some parts were a little slower than I'd like, but I persevered and it was worth every page. 4 stars. Moving on to my favorite fantasy book that I read recently, Mistborn: Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Are we at all surprised that I gave this 5 stars? No, I don't think so. Even better than Warbreaker. And everyone said that, and I knew that I would like it a lot more, but I can't fathom how much I love these characters and how much I want more from this world. Mistborn takes place in a kingdom where The evil one has won many, many years ago, and people are suffering. There is slavery. There are noble people that seem to be having so much fun in life, going to balls and like living with a lot of money. And then there are the Ska, who are basically not even peasants. They have nothing. They starve. They would do anything to keep themselves alive. The story follows a Ska named Vin, who is a thief, and that's how she can survive in the capital. The overall tone was very, very dark. The first sentence in the book is "Ash fell from the sky," and that like sums up the feel of this kingdom. Magic system in this kingdom is very interesting. Channeling the power of metals by ingesting them, and some people can do this for a specific metal. Some people can have a broader channeling power, and Vin has a special power that she doesn't really know how to use, and she is basically taken in by this mysterious mentor figure, Kelsier. He is putting together this band of thieves, this band of very special thieves, to overthrow the final empire. I really, really enjoyed Vin's character arc because she is very mistrusting, she is very self-conscious, and she has a flight. I was surprised at times by the effect of Kelsier on her. She really grows throughout the story. And I also really enjoyed the fact that she is represented as a very reserved and almost boyish girl, but then she discovers she has to infiltrate as a lady in the nobility, and she finds that she enjoys that aspect too. More often than not, these street urchin, like female characters, are portrayed as extremely masculine, and that is the only thing that gives them power. And I really like that the feminine side of Vin does help her through this journey as well. It's a very plot-driven story, but you get enough of each character, even the side characters, to care about their intentions. Everyone has their own motivations, and they feel very much real. I forgot to breathe in the last part of this book. I never had that happen to me before. I was reading through it, and I was so excited that I wasn't reading fast enough to satisfy that excitement and that wonder of like, what the hell is gonna happen? It was such a thrilling ride. This is a 5-star book. I'm reading the second book this month, and probably the third book. Sanderson, you did it again. I loved it. That was it for the 7 fantasy books that I read last month. God, they were good. Even the 2-star one, I feel like there are people out there that would enjoy them. I needed the fantasy books to pull me out of a very emotionally unstable state. This stack of fantasy books was very satisfying to get through. Let me know if you've read any of them or you plan to read any of them and what you think about them. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!